Hey everybody, welcome back. HollywoodPizza here, and we've got a pretty awesome deck for you today. This is the deck that actually took down our most recent event, the PizzaBox Open Explorer. We got Mono Green Midrange today for you. Essentially, this is a deck that you actually see a lot in Pioneer, and this is the Explorer version, so we're mostly missing the Nykthos that kind of helps drive the deck to have like these really huge turns, but outside of that, the deck already can have some pretty big turns with cards like Nissa, Karns, and Storm the Festival. So let's go ahead and break down the deck list for you here and show you the main deck and the sideboard and kind of give you an idea of what the overall strategy is. So for some 1-drops, we've got 8 mana creatures. That's right, we've got 4 Llanowar Elves and 4 Elvish Mystics, 1 green for a 1/1. And then they tap to add 1 green mana. They can help you get to your 3-drops on turn 2 and your 4 and 5-drops a lot quicker as well. We have 4 Wolfwillow Havens, just a fantastic card. So there's no rampant growth type effects like a Farseek, anything like that. So in Explorer, we have to use like this Wolfwillow Haven. It's a green and a colorless enchant land. Enchanted land, whenever it's tapped for mana, you get to add an additional green. And then later in the game, 4 colorless and a green, you can sacrifice this enchantment to make a 2/2 wolf. Activate it only during your turns. You can activate it instant speed, but essentially ends up being more like a sorcery type effect. Overall, just a really powerful card just because it helps you get to your 4s and 5-drops sooner. So just this package alone specifically helps you really get to like your main cards in the deck a lot sooner. We have Voracious Hydra, which is just a really sweet one of. It's 2 green and X. So it's usually going to be played for a lot more than 2 mana, but just a really great utility card overall. It can be a really big beater, or it can also kill a card when it comes in. So Voracious Hydra, double green X, it has trample. It comes in with X +1/+1 counters on it. And then when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose one. So you can either double the amount of +1/+1 counters on it, or it fights a creature that you don't control. Just a really powerful card overall. It's a useful card in this deck because you don't really have too much interaction. So even just having like a 1 of Voracious Hydra is pretty good. We also have 4 Lovestruck Beasts here to start off our 3-drops. So for 1 green, you can cast the Heart's Desire Side, which is a sorcery adventure to make a 1/1 white human creature token. And then for 2 green, 2 colorless and a green, you get a 5/5 that can't attack unless you control a 1/1 creature. So not only can you make the token to help your Lovestruck Beast attack, but you also have 8 other 1/1s in the Mystics and Llanowar Elves. And something that I think a lot of people forget is that you can actually activate your Lair of the Hydra as a 1/1 if you really need your Lovestruck Beast to get in there. So just a lot of different ways to make it attack. And what's really phenomenal about this card specifically is that it's always going to be a 2-for-1 if you're looking for that 1/1 on the front side, and then a 5/5 on the other side. On top of that, let's say you get like your Llanowar Elves down early. Just getting this down on 2 as a 5/5 is really good against a lot of different decks in the metagame, and then you can kind of just start punishing your opponent by just having a big beefy threat on the battlefield. We've got 3 Old Growth Troll, which is just another card that's good on rate. Triple green for a 4/4 with trample. If it dies and it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura, and you get to enchant a forest, and then you can tap that forest for 2 green, or 1 colorless, tap, sack the land to make a 4/4 green troll warrior with trample. So just a phenomenal card where it's good against any type of removal and can help grind in that aspect. And on top of that, it's already really good on rate. Another card that's just great to hit on turn 2 off of like your elves. We have Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner. We got 3 of them, 2 colorless, and then a hybrid blue-green. You're always going to play it for green, of course. Whenever a creature of power 4 or greater enters the battlefield and control, you get to draw a card. And then you get to -1, untap a permanent, and it comes in with 7 loyalty. This card's really strong with Wolfwillow Haven, or even the enchantment side of Old Growth Troll, where you're able to just generate 4 or more mana by untapping one of them. And then if you have like a Nissa out that's already going to double your forest, then the Kiora gets really strong. Another powerful effect of this card is obviously that you're getting to redraw some cards. So being able to play like an Old Growth Troll, a Lovestruck Beast, Hydras, Cavalier Thorns, anything like that will give you extra draws. When you get your Storm the Festival and you get 2 of these big beefy threats and get a couple of draws, you just start to get so far ahead in the game. And on top of that, Kiora is kind of just generating a lot of mana as well. In our 4-drop slot, we actually just have 1 card here. We have Karn, the Great Creator, 4 colorless. Legendary Planeswalker Karn. Activate abilities or artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated, so it shuts off Witch's Oven, treasure tokens, blood tokens, anything like that. +1, until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its mana value. -2, you get to reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game. Or choose a face-up artifact card you own in exile and put it into your hand. So if something gets exiled, you can just get it back with this. And we have plenty of cards in the sideboard that we'll actually get to here in a moment once we get over with the rest of the main deck. So overall, Karn is just a phenomenal card that can tutor and kind of just shut down some of your opponent's strategy. We have 2 of Nissa, who shakes the world. I actually think this is a pretty key piece in the Explorer version because we don't have Nykthos. So 3 colorless, 2 green, 5 loyalty. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, you get to add an additional green, so it kind of just doubles all your forests. Or sometimes they end up tapping for more with like the Old Growth Troll or the Wolf Willow Havener on them. And then -8, +1, put 3 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land. Untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental with vigilance and haste, so you get a 3/3 land. Any of your lands you can turn into that. The best thing to do is essentially untap your forest, so that way you can kind of just keep ramping some more. And don't forget you can attack with it a lot more of the time because it has vigilance, so don't be fearful of those attacks. You know, get in there for that extra damage. The -8 is an emblem where you just get all the lands that you control have indestructible, and they get to search your library for any number of forests and put them on a battlefield tap. So kind of just like an absurd ultimate if you get to it. I mean, you're just going to be able to generate pretty much as much mana as you need in the game. But overall, what I really like about this is that it does generate so much mana that you're able to just have these huge turns. And then you're also able to just make a threat every turn as well. And it even has haste, so just a really strong card overall. 4 Cavalier of Thorns as well in the 5-drop slot here. We've got 2 colorless triple green for a 5/6 with reach. Whenever this card comes into play, you get to reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land from among them on the battlefield, and the rest into your graveyard. So just a really powerful card to help ramp you. And then if it dies, you can exile to put any card from your graveyard on top of your library. So really, really powerful card. It has reach, which is very, very useful. On top of that, being able to have that 6 toughness really means that you can kind of break through a lot of the 5 power cards or 5 toughness cards that are kind of just like around. And 4 Storm the Festival to help round out the curve here. 3 colorless, triple green, sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can put up to 2 permanent cards with mana value 5 or less from among them on the battlefield. And then the rest go on the bottom of your library in a random order, and then you can flash it back for 10 mana. 7 colorless, triple green. This card is just amazing in this deck. You can essentially cast this and then maybe get like a Nissa and a Cavalier, a Karn and Cavalier. I mean, if you get a Troll, a Lovestruck, you know, you're getting a lot of value out of this card. And if you're kind of able to just have like a Nissa down or, you know, Kiora, Nissa, anything like that, then you can start to generate a ton of mana to the point where you can actually just flash back the other side of it as well pretty easily. So overall, this is like one of the best cards in the deck. You're going to want to be hitting this all the time. For special lands, we have one of Boseiju to kind of help catch any type of artifact or enchantments, at least main deck, that are giving us a problem. It's a legendary land that taps for a green, but then a colorless and a green. You can discard it from your hand to destroy an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land opponent control. Then they can get a land card with any basic land type put on the battlefield and shuffle, and then it costs 1 less for each legendary creature control. We actually don't really have any legendaries here in the main deck, so most of the time it's just going to cost 2 mana, but it's an uncounterable effect for a problematic permanent. 2 Castle Garenbrig to help ramp out our cards if we really need to have like a really huge turn. You know, there's turns where maybe you can activate the castle for 6, play like Lovestruck, Old Growth Troll, and have a Kiora down, and then you're just drawing a bunch of cards. So really, really powerful card overall, then can help generate tons of mana as well. 2 Lair the Hydra to help finish the game off if we really need to against specific decks, or just overall keep the beatdown going. And like I said earlier, you can make it a 1/1 if you really need the Lovestruck beast to attack, or surprise your opponent if you have a pretty decent sized board and they're using a Liliana. You can just sack the Lair in response instead. 1 of Bonder's Enclave, which I think is just a phenomenal addition here. You can tap to add a colorless, or 3, tap to draw a card only if you control a creature power 4 or greater, and you do have some creatures in here that are pretty beefy, so more often than not you're going to be able to draw that card. 1 of Cascading Cataracts to go with one of the cards that we have in our sideboard. It's an indestructible land, and then you can tap it for colorless, or 5 colorless tap to add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Speaking of the sideboard, a lot of our sideboard is actually based around getting cards from Karn. We're going to go over the cards that you can't get from Karn first. So we have 1 of Questing Beast. Card just has, you know, a book of text. So 2 colorless, 2 green, 4/4. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Can't be blocked by creature's power 2 or less. Combat damage that will be dealt by creature control can't be prevented. And whenever it deals damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker they control. Phenomenal card overall. I can definitely see just running 1 of because it's really good in some matchups, but a lot of the time it can be a little bit underwhelming too, but it's definitely a good sideboard card, especially with that Death Touch. And Vigilance gets around Wandering Emperor. 2 Garruk's Harbingers, which are really good against the Rakdos decks running around because it has Hexproof from black. 2 green and a colorless 4/3 has Hexproof from black whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker. Look at that many cards from the top of your library, reveal creature card or Garruk Planeswalker and put it in your hand. The rest go on the bottom, so I think this card is just really, really great. Yeah, it's just really good in specific matchups. That's mostly why it's just here. If anything, you can almost take out the Questing Beast and play the third Harbinger, just because then it guarantees that you have the options that you really want against Rakdos. But at the same time, we all know that those Rakdos decks still run a lot of red cards, so this isn't always going to be the best against them, but it's still really, really good card. And let's go and get down to the cards that we're going to be tutoring with Karn the Great Creator. So we have a Pithing Needle here, one colorless. As this card enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Activate abilities of the source with the chosen name. Can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So essentially you can shut down Planeswalkers. You can shut down Fable Passage with this. Just so many cards that you can shut down. Just really, really strong. There's some turns where you're actually casting the card and being able to play Pithing Needle on the same turn, and that's just huge. Shadow Spear helps against any type of aggressive strategies, colorless. So just 1 mana. Equip creature gets +1/+1, trample, and lifelink. It equips for 2, and then it has an additional ability, which is really good, that permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof. Hexproof and indestructible, so it can really go a long way by maybe hating on some cards that you wouldn't be able to deal with normally. We have a 1 of Unlicensed Hearse and a 1 of Tormod's Crypt to help against anything that's like a graveyard strategy. So the Hearse, 2 colorless, and then you get to tap it to exile the 2 cards from a single graveyard. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards exiled with it, and then you get to crew 2. So not only is it a hate piece, but it can essentially turn into a threat as well. And then the Tormod's Crypt that we mentioned, 0, and then you just sacrifice it to exile target player's graveyard. So if you really need to just nuke the graveyard right away with a Karn, Tormod's Crypt is definitely the card that you're going to want to get. If you have time to play this and grind the game out, then Hearse is just phenomenal. We have 1 of Golos to go with the Cascading Cataracts that we were just talking about. So 5 colors for 3/5. When it comes into play, you get to search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. So you can just outright get your Cascading Cataracts, put it right in. And then for 7 mana, so 2 and 1 of each color, exile top 3 cards. You can play them this turn without paying their mana cost. So just an absurdly powerful card. If you're able to get to that point in the game, you can just search for it with Karn, and then slowly start to go over the top of your opponent. Sky Sovereign, console flagship. This card is just phenomenal. Really, really great card. 5 colors for a 6/5 flyer. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, and then you get to crew 3. So just a really, really powerful card. A lot of the time you're going to get this or Pithing Needle, or probably your cards that you're going to get the most. And it helps kill Mayhem Devils, Flip Fables, anything like that. Just a really, really powerful card. And what I really like about this is that it's a hard to deal with permanent. Unless your opponents are playing like a Braids, anything like that. You know, post-board, maybe you'll see them, but at least in game 1, like this card's just really, really phenomenal against Rakdos because most of their removal doesn't line up against it. We have 1 of Great Henge, which helps give us some card advantage and beef our creatures up. So 7 colorless, double green. Legendary artifact, it costs X less to cast, where X is greatest power among creature control. And then you can tap it to add double green and gain a couple life. And then whenever a non-token creature comes into play under control, it gets a +1/+1 counter, you get to draw a card. So just a super good grindy card. Against a lot of different matchups, sometimes you just go get it with the card and then start to just take over the game by going wide and tall at the same time. 1 of Darksteel Citadel to kind of make sure that you can hit your land drops if you really need to. On top of that, I mean, it's an indestructible land, so it's never going to be targeted. Other than that, there isn't really anything too crazy. I mean, you can activate it or animate it with the Nissa, and that's a really good combo. Like that and the Cascading Cataracts are 2 lands that, if they're 3/3s, essentially they just can't really be removed, so they get around like most of the board wipes outside of like Farewells, things like that. We also have 1 Pestilent Cauldron, which is a card that we've been seeing a lot more of in the sideboard for Karn. So 2 colorless and a black. It has multiple abilities. First one, it's an artifact. First one being a tap, discard a card, make a 1/1 black-green, pass with whenever it dies you gain a life. 1 colorless, tap it. Each opponent mills cards equal number of amount of life you've gained this turn. And then 4 colorless, tap, exile 4 target cards from a single graveyard and draw a card. And then on the other side of it, so you can cast either 1 Restorative Burst, 3 colorless, 2 green sorcery, return up to 2 cards. 2 target creature, land, and/or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to your hand, then each spell gains 4, and you exile this card. So what's really relevant about this is that when it gets exiled, essentially it's going to be a face-up artifact. So you can keep getting it back with Karn. You can keep getting all the cards that you really need, your creatures, your lands, your planeswalkers, back to your hand over and over again, and then get the Cauldron. And what I really like as well is that if you get like a really big turn where you use Restorative Burst or a Shadow Spear, you can essentially mill your opponent out by using that ability on the front side of Cauldron. And on top of that, you have Cascading Cataracts, which helps you cast it. So really, really powerful card out of the sideboard here. We also have God's Pharaoh statue, 6 colorless, legendary artifact, spells your opponent's cast, costs 2 more. And then at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 2 life, so it's inevitability, and it really, really does a great job at taxing your opponent and making it hard for them to start to go over the top of you. To help round out the sideboard and the Karn Wish board, essentially we have 2 Meteor Golems, 7 colorless for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent opponent control. So just a phenomenal card because it's a catch-all for a lot of problematic permanents. Even at 7 mana, you're still pretty happy playing it because a lot of the time you do have a ton of mana laying around with Nissas, Wolf Willows, or just some Land Werewolves, anything like that. So this was a deck that took down our latest tournament. Vasetto took this all the way through. I think this is just a really, really great deck. In my opinion, it's definitely tier 1, one of the best decks in the format. It has a great game against Rakdos, a lot of the other decks, just because Karn is such a powerful card against anything that's kind of like artifact related. It shuts down treasures, which is really huge, especially if your opponents need Revolt for fatal pushes, anything like that, or even just mana fixing in general, just can end up hurting them quite a lot. And just having this card means that you essentially get your cyborg cards in game 1, which is really, really powerful. And if you're just able to generate a ton of mana, get a bunch of big beefy creatures on the battlefield, you can definitely beat your opponent down pretty quickly. So this is definitely a deck that I recommend for any of our tournaments, and it's definitely a deck I recommend for ladder. Just to make sure that you get tons of reps in, because it's actually a really difficult deck to play, and it requires you going over a lot of lines continuously until you kind of figure out what your best plays are in specific situations, like, you know, when you need to turn up the heat, when you need to control the board, and when to start going for like your finishers. But overall, I think this deck is just A+. Like I said, it's a tier 1 deck in Explorer. One of the best decks in Pioneer. That version's a little bit different with the Nykthos, things like that. But we're going to go ahead and jump into some games and see how we do. Playing the tournament-winning Mono Green here on the ladder. Let's see how our match goes. Going to be on the draw to start it off. And I think this is a pretty reasonable hand. We can definitely keep it. Got a line of our elf into the Haven either way, even if the elf dies. I get a feeling we're going to see a Thoughtseize here, though, for either of these cards, or maybe even one of the more powerful cards that we have in our hand. And right on time, we see the Thoughtseize here, so probably against Rakdos midrange. And let's see what they take. I mean, they have plenty of options. They could take the elf, the Haven, Kiora. I feel like all these cards are pretty good. And of course, we hit the Thoughtseize glitch, so let's go ahead and get this elf down on turn 1. And if they can't deal with the elf, then we have an Old Growth Troll. I get a feeling they wanted to get rid of the elf so that way they can play a Blood Tithe Harvester here. Alright, they just have a Stomp. That's fine. We draw another Wolf Willow Haven, so either way we can still play this Troll next turn. And if we draw a land, we can Wolf Willow Haven on the same forest and still play the Troll. And then save up for this Hydra later to maybe kill the Bone Crusher. Get a feeling that they have Liliana here to make us discard, though, and if they do, then we probably just get rid of the Kiora. Even though we could Kiora plus Old Growth Troll, so maybe the other Haven would be better. Let's see what they end up getting rid of here. I'm guessing it would be Kiora because it's a card engine, but Old Growth Troll does hit pretty hard. Okay, Blood Tithe Harvester. So really hoping to top deck a land here. And we actually do. So we could also play Hydra, but I think it's just better to Kiora. Down tick on this land. Play the Old Growth Troll, get a redraw. Alright, Storm the Festival is fantastic if we get to untap with this Kiora. And no Thoughtseize from our opponent. If they have like just a generic, we have to discard a card, then we're probably going to have to get rid of the Hydra now. Even though we'd like to keep it as like a over-the-top removal spell, I think it's okay. And they do have the Liliana, so if they make a sack, I mean, we're just going to get rid of the Troll. Not really a big deal. We're pretty happy with that, actually. Yeah, they're just going to do that. Yeah, feeling pretty good about that. Let's put this on this forest here. And I'm guessing our Kiora is going to take some damage, which I'm fine with. I mean, it still has a lot of loyalty, and we're going to hit the Storm next turn. So we hit a Mystic, that's okay. We're going to tap this for 2 mana. We'll go ahead and untap it. Let's cast our Storm the Festival here, see if we can hit like a Karn, maybe another Planeswalker. Okay, so we just hit another Kiora and an Old Growth Troll. We also have Cascading Cataracts. So I actually think we're going to get Kiora and Old Growth Troll because this should hit us for 2 triggers on the Kiora. So we'll get a double redraw, which is really nice. Okay, another Troll and a Karn. So we can untap one of our lands. That's only 3 mana, which is still pretty good. So yeah, let's just untap this here. Play another Troll. And we'll probably just discard this Mystic. Get a redraw, looking for a land. Alright, not a green source, so we can't... Either way, I don't think that we wanted to play the Mystic. Like I said, we want to keep this for the Liliana here. And now we just have 2 4/4s with Trample, which feels pretty good. We have a Voracious Hydra that they do know about, but yeah, if that's all that they have, then we're looking pretty good here. Maybe expecting this Bone Crusher. Alright, Harlesak's not bad. Let's see, it has add double green. Yeah, that's fine. So either way, this still taps for 3. They have a Bone Crusher, going to make us discard, so we can get rid of this Elvish Mystic. And... okay, so we hit Anissa, but we just have Hydra. So we can actually have a pretty big turn here. So this gives us 3 into 6 mana. Let's actually Nissa first. Yeah, our opponent's going to concede there. I think we actually could have recast the Storm the Festival from the graveyard, if I'm not mistaken. Because this would have been 6/6. Yeah, that would have been pretty crazy there. So we're up against this deck, the Rakdos. The usual suspect here. Let's get rid of both of these. Bring in the Harbingers. Do we want the Questing Beast is the question. Don't really think so, even though our elves are a little bit weaker against them. So it could be a world where we do get rid of one of our elves. So we just have 5 elves in the deck. Questing Beast is fine. It's a good threat. The problem with Questing Beast, it just trades anyways with the Bone Crushers and some of their other cards. It does get through at least the Graveyard Trespasser side, but not the Graveyard Glutton. Even if we were trading with it, we're probably like pretty good with that if that does happen. I guess we're more like worried about, you know, as the game progresses, we don't want to just draw more of these dead cards. So I think I'm okay just bringing in the Questing Beast, even though it doesn't seem like an outrageous card against them. I still like having a card that, you know, it's pretty good beats. It's got haste. And if it comes down to it, we can just hit them and kill their Liliana. And we actually end up with 2 Llanowar type cards here. And we can definitely keep this hand. We got some mana. And looking for a forest because we know that our Castle Garenbreak is going to come in tapped. If it does come in tapped, we still have 2 plays we can make on turn 2. So let's see if our Elvish Mystic actually survives. It's unlikely. Okay, opponent hits us with the Kroxa. Probably could discard the Questing Beast just because it's a really expensive card. And we can just get it back with the Cavalier later. Even though the Cavalier is more expensive than that, I kind of see us actually getting there because of this double ramp here. So, got a pretty decent battlefield. We can maybe cast this Karn if we don't hit the right mana here, or just any land in general. And opponent just has a Fable, so nothing too threatening. We do hit the Cascading Cataracts, so we're definitely going with this Cavalier of Thorns here to ramp us. And hit... I want a Forest just because of Nissa. and some of our other cards in the deck. Let's pass it back. We have Karn, which could potentially get us a really good card out of the sideboard. The thing being is that they could have a Thoughtseize here. If they do, that's fine. We'll just go the beatdown route with Castle Graham Brick next turn. We can just cast the Troll and the Lovestruck Beast in the same turn. And opponent just has another Fable, so generating some advantage on the battlefield. We're really hoping to just overrun them here with our creatures, though, pretty soon. If we Karn... Okay, so we Llanowar Elf. I think we still just swing out and then just cast 2 beefy threats here. And see what our opponent does. I think we can almost keep the Llanowar Elf in our hand as well. And yep, let's do that. Let's play the Troll. Lovestruck. And if they play Liliana, at least we have the Llanowar Elf to discard. I don't really think I want to just overcommit there. They're getting the Fable down, but we're also going to be able to maybe attack for lethal. I'd be pretty happy if they ended up attacking with their goblins just for the treasures. For maybe like some fatal pushes. At the same time, like, I mean, all they're really going to be fatal pushing just the Lovestruck. All Growth Troll seems fine, but we get some value out of it. And let's see here. They could get their Crocs if they put another card in the yard. So then they'd have a 6/6, which is pretty good. Could have been a world where maybe we Karned for like a Tormod script. Because now we're kind of putting the turn on our opponent to get back this Croxa, but... Okay, so they have the Heartless Act. They can attack with both of the goblins, get the Croxa back. And then what would we be trying to get? The Golos or a Henge? Yeah, we're definitely killing one of these. We can take the hit, discard the Llanowar Elf here. And we still have a pretty decent board, though, either way against them. Wow, they're actually going for the Stomp. That's pretty crazy to me, because now we can definitely have a really big turn here. Alright, so we get to untap. We have Karn. We have a lot of mana. Reflections on the battlefield. So, what's the best thing we can do right now? Let's take a look here. So, let's take a look at our sideboard. We can cast the Karn for 4 mana here. That leaves us with 4 mana left. So we can just Henge. Yeah, I mean, that feels pretty good. We can also get rid of the reflection, but... Or we just get Crypt. Yeah, let's attack first. Get that out of the way. I think we just get Hearse. I don't really see a world where we don't, because we got to get rid of this Croxa. So let's just do that. We can't use their treasures either, which is really good. There is the option of getting Pithing Needle back for the reflection. Looks like they have a Fatal Push here. Maybe. Okay. Gonna down Thicc. And get the Hearse. Play the Hearse. Exile the Croxa and just any other card. Probably the Liliana so they can't attack Enuma. And we could play the Llanowar Elf. Like, I think that's fine. Yeah, they're just going to do that. So yeah, we just play the Elf here. Gives us a 3rd blocker to save the Karn. And let's pass the turn back. So next turn, we get down Thicc on the Karn to go get Boat to kill one of the reflections. And we still have Cavalier a Thorn punching in. And opponent does have Liliana the Veil, that's fine. So probably going to uptick. I don't really see a reason for them to downtick. Okay, they're actually just going to do it, which I find quite interesting here. So we can Cavalier and get back Questing Beast. I actually kind of like that. Because we know that Questing Beast can't be blocked by their creatures. So let's just do that. And we still have 3 blockers, because we don't want Karn to lose any loyalty. There is a world where maybe we can just let it take a hit, I guess, because we could untap uptick on the hearse as well and kind of just come in for a lot of damage. At the same time, we don't really want to just like lose the hearse like that. And they really wouldn't be able to just attack it anyways, so we're going to get to untap here. So we have a Questing Beast. And let's see, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. Let's see. So we can down tick. You could also just get a Golos. I mean, right now we got to kill this Liliana the Veil. Let's get this Questing Beast down. Go to combat. Hit our opponent with the Questing Beast. Killing their Liliana. Do we want to downtick here is the question. And if we do we have anything that's relevant worth playing? Just the Needle? I think that's worth it. So let's get Pithing Needle down, naming the Reflection. Let's pass a turn. We still have Hearse we can crew with our Llanowar Elves and a token maybe if we need to. Questing Beast can block. We have a lot of blockers right now, so they need like a direct damage spell or tapping out for the Hive of the Eye Tyrant just to kill the Karn, which we'd obviously be pretty happy about, considering our opponent's at 4 and then we just kill them with the Questing Beast. And if they attack out here, then there's a chance that they actually have... There's a chance that they actually have like a Fatal Push here. I would think that they would use it first though. Yeah, they didn't even have it, so we'll go to blocks. We'll go ahead and use the Hearse here. They actually can't even use their treasures for Revolt because of the Karn, so we'll make that a 4/4. Opponent's going to lose most of their creatures here, and then they just play a Bone Crusher. Maybe a Heartless Act would be pretty good follow-up. But if they had the Heartless Act, they would have just used it anyways. So they're going to meat hook for 2. I mean, that's not bad. It's going to gain them some life. So they're going to go back up to 8. Let's see. So we can Kiora. Uptick on the needle. 5, 4, 5. There are definitely going to be some weird plays. Yeah, let's half our opponent's life total again. Get them down to 4 here. I mean, they can kill the Pithing Needle now. I don't really care about it. Probably use the Hive to kill the Karn, but then that's our whole turn, and then they just lose our Lair of the Hydra. So let's see if they just go for it. Yep, just going to do that. They're able to use their 2 treasures if they kill the Karn, so they could have like a follow-up, but... Yep, just going to come in. So they're definitely not out of it if they do have like a Blood Tithe Harvester here. But they actually don't. So do they just have a Fatal Push is the question. Gonna make 2 different threats here. So do they have an answer? They don't. Let's just make this a 1/1. I get a feeling there's a push about to happen maybe. Which obviously it sucks because then we lose the troll land, but... Gotta have something here, right? They're just gonna do it now, so yeah, we just make a 4/4. Draw a card, get a Cavalier, so a little bit awkward, but still doing okay. Opponent has 1 card. They can't kill either of our Planeswalkers if they tapped out. And they're definitely dead to the Lair. And our opponent's just going to scoop it up, so... I feel like we definitely took some weird lines there, but I really like just having 2 attackers there, so... Able to take down the match against Rakdos.
This video is brought to you by MagicJank.com, the spiciest cards for your sauciest decks. Buy and sell Magic the Gathering products and gear today on MagicJank.com.
Jumping in some games here with Mono Green Midrange. Alright, going to be on the play. And I definitely think this is a hand we can keep. We have Land of War Elf on 1 into Kiora. And some other big powerful spells after that. So we're mostly just looking to hit some lands here. And we can pretty much cast everything in our hand. So let's get a Land of War Elf down. And I believe we're up against Rakdos Sacrifice, it looks like. Okay, maybe Jund. Really good Fatal Push there from our opponent because it does slow us down quite a bit, but we still have Kiora on 3. And one of the best draws right now would be like a Land of War Elf or Elvish Mystic because we'd be able to cast it as well in the same turn. So we hit Anissa. Let's go and get Kiora down. And we'll pass the turn back. It's got 7 loyalty, so if they do have like an outright destroy Planeswalker card, then it would die. But 7 loyalty is pretty reassuring. That's not going anywhere. And we're happy soaking up some damage there. So we have Karn. We can also play Cavalier. I think that's just better. Yep. Let's get Cavalier down. We'll get to draw a card. Put a forest on the battlefield. Get a storm into the graveyard. And then now we have Cataract, which we can use next turn to play a storm. Could also Nissa, just because we could just ramp for a ton. Okay, Mayhem Devil's pretty good. And an Oven. But we have Karn. Yeah, I think we just Karn here and see if they have a response. That's fine. We'll take a point of damage. Or they're going after the Kiora? Pretty happy with them going after the Kiora, though. So we have 2 mana available, 3 mana if we untap one of our permanents here. So for 3 mana, we've got Shadow Spear as an option, Hearse, Crypt the Needle. I think I would take the Shadow Spear. And kind of just start to put the game in like this weird spot for our opponent here. Yeah, that's fine. We just get to untap a land. Play the Shadow Spear. Equip it onto the Cavalier. And we could bash in here, but then they would kill our Karn. We're gonna just play the Blood Tithe potentially here next turn. They can sacrifice 1 thing. I think I'm just gonna pass a turn back. I would really like to get aggressive here to kind of just, you know, punch our opponent pretty big, but I think I'm a lot better off being a little bit patient here. And they can't activate any of their artifacts with Karn on the battlefield, so they just need to sacrifice their cards other ways. And our opponent's actually just going to concede because they just can't activate their cards, and we kind of just have a lot going on. We could bring in the Harbinger, but it's almost like just a little bit too slow. Questing Beast is a little bit almost better just because we know it's probably not going to be blocked except for like Mayhem Devil. But would we really want to change anything for that? I don't think so. Maybe like one of the elves. Yeah, like Harbinger doesn't really seem all that great. I mean, they got a lot of red cards. I think 1 Questing Beast is fine. Let's try this out. See how it goes. And yeah, I think we can keep this. Pretty good opening hand. We have 2 mana rampers plus the Wolf Willow Haven as well as another ramp source here. And unfortunately, a Fatal Push on the Mystic, but that's fine. We have backup mana and just ramp overall. So let's get this Wolf Willow Haven down next turn. We can already cast the Karn if we wanted to. And they just have Mayhem Devil, which is pretty good. Kind of stalls the Karn out a little bit. But we actually drew a really good card here with this Old Growth Troll, so let's pass the turn back, see what our opponent does here. We have Karn or even the Cavalier Thorn now. And we know that the Karn at least would be protected somewhat by some of the cards on the battlefield, so I wouldn't mind just throwing it out there. Opponent down to 4 cards. They're hovering over their Gigantha, it looks like, so they may just be putting Gigantha in their hand. Okay, they got a Claim plus Deadly Dispute here. So we're going to go down to 13, and then we should see a Deadly Dispute or an Oven. So unfortunately, it looks like our Mystic is also going to bite the dust. So we're looking for a land here to be able to Cavalier Thorn. And then set up a Karn. That's actually not a bad draw, though. because we get a 5/5, so I'm fine with them wasting some resources to even just kill this 1/1 if need be. Alright, Double Devil's pretty good, but we can definitely stop that with this Karn. Cascading Cataract. So we can play Karn. We can also play Cavalier. I think we just got to play the Karn. They need to do something now in order to... And they just got to kill the 1/1. If they go out the Love-Struck Beast, I don't believe that they can kill it. Because they can only deal 4 damage. So yeah. Okay, gonna go for it. Sure. Alright. So you can still get back. The Cauldron Familiar. We can downtick. Go get a Needle. And then see if our opponent has a response to the Needle. Okay, yep. Just gonna get the cat. It's not gonna kill the beast, though. Oh, okay, yeah, they can just keep sacking, so I do apologize. I always forget that they can do that. So we are going to lose the Karn and take a lot of damage, so maybe that was like a little bit of a mistake on my end. We did make our opponent do it, but at the same time, we're going to lose everything on the battlefield, considering that Karn's going to die next turn. So we just name Witch's Oven. Knowing that we're going to lose the Karn. This is 7, though, by itself. So, I mean, our opponent just has to find 2 more damage here. But they're still going to go after the Karn, so we're going to go down to 5. If we storm the festival, we can maybe get some things that we want. So that's really what we're hoping for here. So Cavalier and Anissa. We're at 5. Can also get Troll. Plus they have the blood token, so let's see if they can sack that. The blood token. Yeah, we're pretty much just dead here. Even if we get both of those cards, we're just such low life here. Needed to gain some life somewhere. Bit unfortunate. Maybe like that tap out turn wasn't the best. Even if we played Cavalier, the Cavalier was just going to die, so... Double is kind of hard to deal with. I'm going to be on the play. Gotta take a mulligan here, I think. Don't really think this hand is too keepable with 1 mana. This is pretty rough, just because we're on the play. If we go down to 5, things are not the best, but I think we have to do it. Obviously, a bit rough here. Maybe could have kept that second hand. Don't think we can go down anymore, though. And a bit unfortunate here not hitting our second land. If we do, we get to have a Wolfwillow Haven, but it looks like our opponent's going to Thoughtseize at least one of those away. Okay, they're actually just going to get rid of the Karn, which I'm kind of okay with that. Let's see if this Llanowar Elf can stick for a turn. And then we can get our Havens down. Okay, Fatal Push here from our opponents. And we hit another Llanowar Elf, so let's get that down. And no response yet. So at least we know that there's no removal spell up front. And they're going to put Giganta in their hand. So they're taking a turn off. We hit Lair of the Hydra here. So we're going to go ahead and Wolf Willow here. We can also Wolf Willow the other land as well. And let's pass it back so we can Cavalier of Thorns next turn. Or Nissa. Okay, Jegantha. We'll cast Cavalier. Getting this forest. Second Karn does hit the graveyard though. Let's make a 1/1. And pass turn back. So we're down 2 Karns, which is one of our better cards against them. Alright, Thoughtseize is going to get rid of this Nissa. And they have Mayhem Devil. So we're looking for Storm of the Festival. Or we just start punching in for a ton of damage here off of this Lair of the Hydra. Make it a 4/4. That's not as good. Let's come in for 5. And then we can play Lovestruck Beast. We have 4 mana. Yeah, let's pass back. So we got our opponent down to 10. Okay, Blood Tithe, so they can definitely use the blood token that we know of right now as like a sacrifice card. Looks like they're just going to do it to probably take out the Llanowar Elf, I would think. Yep, going to float a green here. And let's see, they got 3 cards left. I'm definitely thinking about what to do. Could just trade with the Jegantha. I think I'd be okay with that. If we do, then we can start attacking with this Lair of the Hydra. Obviously a little bit of a downside by putting the Wolf Willow on it. Okay, so we hit another Cavalier. I think I'm just crashing in here. We're going to go down to 5. Yeah, let's play the other Cavalier. Getting a castle. Storm goes to the graveyard. We can't cast it yet, though. Would be pretty happy if one of these Cavaliers died. Okay, opponent's got 3 mana. Alright, so unfortunately it looks like it's going to die on our opponent's side, though, this time. They do end up tapping out. It's not the worst thing. Okay, gonna kill the 1/1 here. That's fine. They hit us for 11. We go down to 9. And they've got to have a sacrifice card here. Either an Oven or a Deadly Dispute, I would imagine. Okay, Village Rites, same thing essentially. And they're going to put another one of those on top of the library. That's fine. So do they have a Fatal Push? Okay, we just hit a Storm the Festival. Could activate the Lair of the Hydra as a 5/5. Or excuse me, a 4/4. I think we got a Storm here. Try to hit our best cards. So we hit Boseiju and Kiora. Karn and Kiora. So we can down tick on Karn. And go get a Shadow Spear. That's not gonna do it. right away. Does gain us a lot of life, but then we would lose our Planeswalkers, pretty much. We also have Lair of the Hydra as backup. Could also go get Skyship for next turn. They have Thoughtseize, it's pretty bad though. And even if we play the Skyship, we still won't be able to attack. It is one of the better cards we can grab, though. I think we gotta take it. I don't need a down tick on that. If we attack, they have to block. They're just gonna take the Cavalier anyways. So at least we get rid of their Blood Tithe Harvester here. Could untap. The Lair doesn't really do anything. Let's just pass it back. So we're really hoping that our Planeswalkers kind of take the brunt of the damage here. So they're definitely going to start by taking the Cavalier. Yep. Going to kill the Karn with the Mayhem Devil, hit the Kiora for 5, and then finish the Kiora off with the Blood Token or maybe something that they're going to use to sacrifice the Cavalier Thorn with. And then they can just return another card back on top of their library. So definitely a little bit frustrating considering that we have a lot of good cards, but our opponent's definitely using our own cards against us right now. Where we would really like to use that Cavalier's ability to get back our Storm the Festival and kind of keep that going. Yep, going to sacrifice the Cavalier here and finish off the Kiora. Let's see what they could get back. Fatal Push doesn't kill our card. Looks like they're just going to get a Bloody Betrayal. That's fine. The Skyship is a card they can't take at sorcery speed. And we just hit a Hydra anyways. I think we just play Boat and try to shoot this Mayhem Devil down. They're going to hit us for a point of damage, go up to 8. That's fine. Kill the Mayhem Devil. And then next turn, we just have a really big Hydra. We can't really do that, though, anyways, because we could just end up dying to it. Our opponent does have Corvold either way, though, so a bit unfortunate there for us. Looks like our opponent does have a really good card here that we're going to have definitely some trouble dealing with. They can just sacrifice their food token now, and instead choosing a Deadly Dispute. So yeah, they can bring this up to 7. We can't kill it with the Hydra, though. But then we run into the situation where we have to crew this, then use this to block, and then we lose both of these cards. Which I guess is fine. They're at 8. Hmm. 1, 2, 3. So we can do this. 6, 7, 8. It just wouldn't be enough. We could fight, crew, shoot this, hit them. That's like the only way to do it, so we have to go full control here. And we're going to make this a 6/6. So let's resolve this. So we'll fight here. Are they just going to sacrifice it? That's fine. Get our opponent down to 2. So opponent doesn't have to find 4 damage. They can find 4 damage somewhere if they have like a Mayhem Devil. But it almost taps them out completely, so... I'm not sure. They gotta find 4 damage somewhere. Okay, 1 mana here, yep. Let's see if they got it. They do have quite a bit of cards left in their hand, so we're really hoping to dodge things like Cat, even a Devil. They can gain some life here as well. So they can go back up to 8. Okay. Yep, tap land. They just pass back. They're at 2. 1, 2, 3. So they can go back up to 11. We're at 4. You can almost kill us with the Hive or even the Den of the Bugbear. We can't flash these back. Play Troll. We essentially just lose to the Bloody Betrayal. If we activate this, it's not going to be enough to kill them, and then we lose to the Creature Land. So, do we just pass the turn? It's kind of like a weird position to be in. I think we just have to pass. Can still activate the lair and crew the Skyship if need be. Yep, opponent's just going to gain a lot of life here. So the food token definitely saving our opponent here now as we get into the later part of the game. Unfortunately, we don't have any life gain on our side. So Shadow Spear. It was really between the Shadow Spear or the Skyship. Like, we would have been able to gain 6 more life. That's fine. Just gonna lose a lot of cards, but we weren't able to cast Storm the Festival right now. Opponent has Mayhem Devil. So do they just have like a Fatal Push type effect, maybe? Yeah, I'm just gonna make this 3-powered here. Crew with the lair. And if we attack, we still just lose a land, so... Been unfortunate here, kind of just ended up getting ground out and just had too much of, like, low life total there, but let's see how the rest of our matches go. Looking for the latest comic book to add to your collection? How about the last card for that Magic the Gathering Commander deck? Well, the comic book stores got you covered. Shop online at comicbookstore.tcgplayerpro.com or come in person at 30 North Main Street, Glassboro, New Jersey. Pizza people, are you enjoying the content? Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime any of our new content comes out, you're able to see it right away. Hey, leave a comment down below as well. Tell us what you're going to play in the next event, or tell us what you're enjoying about the video. Don't forget, check out the description too. We've got tons of great content down below, and on top of that, we're going to have our tournament schedule too. So get in on it. Hope to see you. Playing some more Mono Green here on the ladder. See if we can grind some games out here against our opponents. And we're going to be on the draw to start this off, but I actually like our hand here. We've got a pretty good amount of mana. Some payoffs in the form of Kiora and Lovestruck Beast, so looks like we're up against a blue-green strategy, potentially. I would think maybe like a fight rigging deck if we see some black mana. Okay, just another island though. And a Fae of Wishes. Interesting card we haven't seen for quite a bit. Let's get the Kiora down. And we can make the 1/1, so let's just do that. And then pass the turn back. So let's see what our opponent's up to. Quite interesting looking deck already. And Beanstalk, so it looks like they're just adventures. So their late game could be pretty scary. Alright, we got a Castle Garenbrig. So we can Wolf Willow onto a forest. Let's play Castle. We'll untap this. Let's make 6 mana. If we draw a 3-drop, we can cast it. Okay, we just hit another Wolf Willow, so either way we wouldn't have been able to cast it anyways. And let's pass it back. Okay, opponent's got 5 cards here. And the giant that we know about in Exile Zone. We know that our opponent could definitely have a variety of things in their deck for sure. We'll see how many colors their deck is as well. Yep. So, definitely playing Omnath somewhere in their deck, I would believe. And unfortunately, Giant Killer is going to get rid of our Love Struck here, and Kiora is probably going to take a point. Okay, opponent choosing not to attack. We unfortunately don't really have that much stuff going on. We can definitely make a pretty big Lair of the Hydra. So let's do that. And we're coming in for 5. And opponent will have access to 6 mana this turn, maybe. Okay, Omnath. And hoping to avoid the Fable, but usually it does come down. Okay, just a tap land now. So they're going to go back up to 19. Kiora's going to take a point of damage. We draw a Love Struck Beast. We're just going to play that to redraw a card here. We had a Llanowar Elf. Not really an impressive card, for sure. Let's untap this here. Make this a 5/5 again. And we're attacking. Coming in for 5. They can definitely just take it, especially if they have other land drops here. So we're definitely looking for like some Storm the Festivals. Our Kiora might be in trouble if they can get rid of our Love Struck Beast as well. Okay, just a giant, so then they can start casting their giants as well. Which are definitely going to be bigger than the creatures than what we have on the battlefield. Opponent down to 3 cards, plus the 3 other cards in exile that we know about, so still a pretty hefty hand here. And second land drop. Gonna cast a Giant Killer. And I would imagine one of these giants are gonna come down. Okay, Fae of Wishes looking for a card. Plenty of options here in this format for them to grab. And they end up with an Escape to the Wilds, which is really, really good. Because it's definitely going to get them some more cards here. No good attacks from our opponent outside of hitting the core for a point of damage. And if we wanted to use it, it's essentially going to die. If they have a I guess if they had a stomp, they would have just killed it anyways. We hit Anissa, which is pretty good. Can definitely ramp us quite a bit. Question is do we want to untap with the Kiora, knowing that we would just lose the Kiora anyways? I think that's fine. Each one of these does add, this would be 6. Yeah, let's do the ones with the wolf willows on them. Three, 6, 7, 8. So we make this an 8/8. Or a 9/9. Well, we might also just want to play the elf because then we'll have a blocker. Yeah, let's make it an 8/8. We're going to come in with the Love Struck and the Lair of the Hydra. We still have 2 blockers back to protect the Nissa. Especially if they want to use the Giant Killer to tap something down. Get a feeling they might have a Giant Killer in their hand, though, if they had to stop there. Or maybe like a Brazen Borrower. See what it ends up being. There's definitely a stop here. So it does end up being a Brazen Borrower. And probably just going to take that hit, yep. Could Llanowar Elf. Yeah, let's do that just because it gives us more mana. And we still have 2 blockers either way. Definitely expecting the wilds here, yep. And they hit a Clover. Plus they have land drops and the Brazen Borrows and Stomps here, so definitely in quite a bit of trouble. Opponent's going to gain some life. Make some mana. And the game is definitely going to start to get skewed a little bit here for our opponent's side. As they're just going to generate tons of value here. Let's see what they end up casting. Obviously, we will want them to just tap out for the giant, but expecting some form of adventure cards here. Going to start off with the binding to get rid of the Nissa. And it's definitely going to be hard to come back in this game here. Trying to see what we could draw. Boseju's kind of like our only hope at this point because we'd be able to at least get rid of a Clover. Okay, gonna kill one of our forests here. They have 3 mana available. So pretty surprised no attacks there. Okay, Old Growth Troll. I think we're just a little bit too behind. We don't have like any main deck removal spells to really get rid of most of what they have here. Even with the QB, it's going to be kind of hard. QB does hit pretty hard though, so let's get rid of both of these. Let's bring this in. And maybe a Harbinger. It's not like the craziest card in this matchup, but it does give us something maybe early to do or to ramp into with the Llanowar Elves. Gonna be on the play this time, so that definitely helps us a bit. Hey, their opponent's definitely built for the longer game, so we're mostly just hoping to get a lot of ramp and try to go over the top with our Storm of the Festivals and Planeswalkers in a quickly manner, but Omnath on the other side definitely stalls us out a bit just because of the life gain, you know, the mana. It just does so much. Also only really having like the Boseiju as a way to deal with Clover is kind of rough considering that, you know, we'd pretty much be expecting to dodge that in these last 2 games just because of all the card advantage that ends up making by them doubling their adventure spells. Alright, gonna be on the play, and yeah, I think we can keep this. Got some ramp, got some beat down. I think we just played Troll on turn 2, kind of just get some beat down going. See if they have a Brazen Borrow to answer with. Yeah, let's just get this down. No reason not to. They can't Giant Killer yet. I'm expecting maybe another tap land here. Then we can start to get in for some damage. Okay, Innkeeper. And let's just ramp a little bit. Ramp some more. And we're coming in with both. We know they're less likely to block with the Innkeeper because it just can draw them so many cards. So we have a Cavalier next turn, which pretty confident about. Really looking for like a Karn to try to hit like a Golos to start to go over the top of them. Okay, just gonna pass. So I'm really thinking that they got like a Brazen here. I think we just swing though. Just gonna come in for some damage. Yep, gonna go down to 10. And let's get this Cavalier down. Let's see if we hit a land. So we had a Castle Garenbrig, and most of those cards we don't really care too much about. Losing the Hydra's a little bit annoying, but I still think it's okay. Okay, Leyline Binding, gonna come down on the Cavalier Thorns, I would believe. And we have a Boseiju, which we're probably gonna snap off here because we just want to come in for a ton of damage. 5 cards from our opponent here. 4 mana. Could tap out maybe for like an Omnath. Looks like they're just going for the stomp though. Which feeling pretty good about. And we'll go ahead and just end step kill this. That way we can just keep the beatdown going. And opponent is going to get a land, so they could use a giant killer now if they had it, unfortunately. And we're going to grab a forest. So get a little bit of ramp. We do lose a Karn, which we would have liked, but we actually draw another Karn anyways. And then we have 4 available mana, so let's Karn for a Shadow Spear. Okay, opponent just has Veto. That's fine, we're coming in for 9. It could go down to 1, but yeah, they're probably going to block. Yep. So, got our opponent down to 6 here. They have Omnath plus Fetch Land. We're definitely in some trouble. That's the play we're looking to dodge here. Okay, so they just played their land now, so feels pretty good in that regard. And they're going to ramp with this Beanstalk and then probably play the Bone Crusher, I would think. We're really looking for like a Storm the Festival. Nissa would actually be really great because it gives us a hasty threat. Okay, they have a Leyline Binding on the Cavalier Thorns. And potentially a Brazen Borrower here with the 2 mana that they have open, considering there's a stop. We do hit Nissa. So let's see if Nissa resolves. And it does. We'll get to untap this forest over here. And try to attack for lethal. I get a feeling we're going to see this Borrower here, though, on the Old Growth Troll before attacks. Okay, either way, we can still recast the Troll if we really need to. Yep, there's a Brazen Borrower. Opponent going to go down to 3. Let's replay the Troll. And pass the turn back. So they could tap out for the Beanstalk, but then we essentially just kill them with the Nissa. Right now, their last card has to be really, really good in order to survive, and it is not. So we're going to move on to game 3 here. Let's see. Would we want a main deck? Any of these other cards? Could bring in another elf over the Harbinger, but I really think we're just trying to beat down. We got to just beat down as fast as we can, but also maintaining like the mana position as well. Kind of just ramping out and doing our thing. Yeah, we can keep this hand. I believe our opponent also kept their hand, and they have an Innkeeper. Let's go start off with the Llanowar Elf. We have Wolf Willow plus a 1/1 next turn, and then Nissa. Okay, Lucky Clover's pretty threatening here. Especially considering they could end up killing our Llanowar and maybe even this 1/1. Which would definitely prevent us from playing this Nissa just because we lose the elf here. So let's see what our opponent's up to. And they actually end up playing a tap land, so no stomp here. And we can blow up this Lucky Clover. I'm almost inclined to because we just don't want them to start to go off. So let's make this forest a 3/3. We can come in with both of our creatures. The land has Vigilance, so no matter what, we have this Boseiju. And it looks like they have a Leyline Binding. So they're going to use that on the Nissa. And we're just going to go to attacks here. They're going to take the 4. Oh, I forgot we needed to actually use the force there, so my apologies. A little bit of a mistake there by not getting the Nissa. So let's actually just do it now. And they actually didn't have any response there. Pretty surprising. Opponent is going to get a land. Let's tap this. We'll get to untap it here. We can play the Lovestruck Beast. Can actually use the Wolf Willow. 4/5. We can still do Wolf Willow even after attack. And let's come in for 7. I get a feeling they're probably going to take it. And yeah, I'm making a 2/2. Gotta get the beatdown going. Opponent's at 7. Hoping to dodge like a stomp, some kind of crazy bounce spell. And we actually take the match down with our aggression there. Even though our opponent's deck, like I said, was built for more of the late game, we actually got our beatdown pretty quick. Alright, and we're back for the post-game wrap. So as you can see, this deck can definitely do some really powerful things and go over the top of your opponent. Like I said earlier, just a phenomenal deck for any tournament and the ladder. Just make sure you get your reps in. Yeah, definitely recommend it. If you made it this far into the video, would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, bell notification. Like the video and leave a comment down below. We're definitely trying to get here to 500 subscribers. Going to be doing some giveaways soon, so definitely be on the lookout for that in the description. We also host 3 tournaments a month. All are free to play with cash prizes, so you can find all that information, my content as well, down below. And I hope that you stay cheesy.